Good morning. It is the 15th of August. Let's do the news round. The Ukrainians have replaced the old coat of arms on this beautiful statue in Kiev, and they've put a trident up there as well. As far as I'm aware, they have kept the old insignia, which is good. Hopefully, this can be restored in time. The United States is providing Ukraine with a 20 million new arms package. This is from the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken. This includes ammunition for air defense systems, three, artillery shells for anti-tank weapons, and additional mine clearing equipment. Not quite the 13 billion that Mr. Biden had asked for earlier this week. Turkish rescuers put out a fire in a wooded area near the resort areas. Fire broke out 15 kilometers from the resort of Belek and 20 kilometers from Sid. 3 helicopters, 4 amphibious aircraft, and more than a dozen fire brigades on the ground are involved in extinguishing. There seems to be a lot of these fires near popular holiday destinations this year, doesn't there? Another Quran has been set on fire at a protest near the Parliament in Stockholm, and this action was authorised by the police. Its organisers are Iraqi migrants who have already been prosecuted for such demonstrations. I did a long video about this yesterday. Please feel free to go and look it up. I think this is absolutely disgraceful. Germany has budgeted funds to support Ukraine for several years to come, says the German finance minister. When budgeting for the coming years, we already firmly plan the continuation of our support for Kiev, he said. Wow. Well, it would be nice if they had budgeted for funds to support Germans who are suffering from deindustrialization and soon are going to be entering a very cold winter completely unprepared. The meeting of the UN Security Council at the request of Armenia to discuss the humanitarian situation will be held on August 26th, so it's only tomorrow. This was reported by the US Permanent Mission to the UN on its website. The United States chairs the UN Security Council in August and forms a program of work. Well, I haven't seen much uproar about that, given the US's involvement in a number of proxy wars around the world and a number of actual wars in the past which have killed millions of people. But there was an outcry, wasn't there, when Russia took its turn? As Nigeria's military rulers seek to prosecute deposed president for high treason. I have to say they seem to have treated Baz pretty well, so I am not too concerned for him, but it will be very interesting to see the evidence that's provided in this case, corruption, how deep it goes, and really where it goes to. The US ambassador to South Africa must leave if lying about Russian weapons shipment, the editor-in-chief says. It's now time for the envoy to take responsibility for his words. And I totally agree. You can't have somebody who is making statements like that which tank your economy and cause potential security risks. This needs to be answered for now. Chinese real estate problems are far from over, and as we can see, there's been a drastic shift. China's property market giant Country Garden has seen its debt problems intensify following the suspension of its onshore bonds. This has resulted in its shares tumbling to a record low on Monday. And I know that this is also hitting some of the big multinational corporations like BlackRock. So we're just going to have to see kind of what happens next here. Weaker ruble raises risk for inflation. This is from multipolar market. Ruble sinks to 100 per dollar, yet officials feel optimistic. Currency fell 1.5%, losing for a fifth day in a row, even after Russia's bank tried to stem the fall by halting foreign currency purchases until it's settled. What it does mean, however, is that because Russia gets paid in petrodollars for its, the petrodollars make the kind of standard price of things that Russia tends to sell lots of, like oil. The ruble being weak means that people get more of it, but inflation may well rise in Russia. Singapore could face structural decline without migrant workers, citing a declining birth rate and aging population. I mean, there seems to be a lot of this all over the place at the moment, and I think, as far as I'm aware, it's common every few years to have this sort of discrepancy in population, and it's tended to always level itself out. I would hesitate to be too doomsayy about it, to be honest. And as I've said many times, I really, really don't agree that mass migration is best for a country ever. I really, really don't. Argentina has devalued peso by 18%, which means the exchange rate is 350 per dollar. It's not looking good in Argentina. They really are struggling under the weight of a number of loans that they're being forced to pay out. I might do a longer video on this, but if I was Argentina, I wouldn't be paying any loans to the IMF or the World Bank back. I'm sorry, I would just write them off from what's happened in the past. China eases rules and taxes, desperate for foreign investment. And essentially, if you want to move to China and start a business, now is the time to do it. They are looking for people to move there to invest, and they have relaxed some of their laws about ownership, because until recently, you couldn't really own in China. You could own with the government. This, I think, is an example of the short-term effects of the America's economic war against China. I don't think it will last, but it is affecting their economy a lot right now. Turkey dismisses Assad tirade, says withdrawal from Syria unimaginable now. If someone wants you to get out of their country, mate, best to just leave. I mean, really, it doesn't matter if you don't like it. It's not your territory, and you being there is causing more and more and more terrorism to occur in Syria. That is the simple reality. Without Turkey, those terrorists have no way of being armed, and they have no way of being supported, so they will eventually break down and leave. Um, and I can see exactly now why Mr. Assad refused to meet with Erdogan, because why would you meet with someone who is doing that in your home? This rather damning statement has appeared from the US State Department, which encourages the Pakistani government in March 2022 to remove Imran Khan as Prime Minister over his neutrality on the Russian invasion of Ukraine. I'll do a longer video about this after this news roundup. A former advisor to Zelensky has said the main mistake is that we dehumanized Russians. All Ukrainian efforts to dehumanize Russians have proven to be the main mistake of Kiev in the ongoing conflict. I mean, it's been a 50-year-long campaign, the dehumanizing of Russians. You can see it all over Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, Slovakia, of course, the Ukraine. That's part 1 of the roundup. Please follow for part 2 and consider supporting me if you can.